Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for 2011 we have yet another cell phone device. Battery compartments here, push the little button here, takes 2 AAA batteries, not included. On-off switch right here. Speakers on the side. And like any decent cell phone changer, it will have traits of a cell phone, which they will never, ever, ever bring up in the show. Cell phone camera, reception strength, you've got mail, and battery supply remaining. That's it. That's the only thing that identifies this as a cell phone. Careful, watch your fingers. Oh yeah, and the flip top cover. You've got more signal reception here, battery strength, you've got mail, you're legally downloading stuff, and there's a camera option for a camera which totally does not work. These are all, things we've seen before, so of course they have to provide them in here. I mean, heaven forbid a changer with a keypad, and okay, I'll save that for the commentary. So anyways, yeah, this is what a cell phone Henshin device looks like, in case you didn't know what that is. Okay, yeah, so there's that. Now, cell phones by themselves are not very interesting unless you turn them on. Again, speaker, on-off switch, single red LED. Enter key. I'm going to have to get that one tuned. Connect, disconnect, star, and pound keys are molded in as part of the toy and are not functional. Only the rubber white keys are functional. Okay, yeah, so I've demonstrated that. Okay, now the Mobirates is dedicated to 2 specialized electronic features. The first feature is that it can uniquely identify a broad variety of unique code numbers. These code numbers are no larger or smaller than 4 digits, and here is just a sample listing of codes you can use. There are literally dozens of codes as of the making of this video which have been discovered over time, but I will not be highlighting all of those in this video. You're just going to have to do what I did and go look for them yourself. First code we'll deal with is Now, Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger is the 35th Super Sentai series. That's the sound that it will make when you input a code incorrectly or when you're canceling out. Is the 35th anniversary series, and Himitsu Sentai Go-Onger is the first Super Sentai series. So if you were to input, code 0025, the 25th anniversary series, you would get let's try something a little more random. How about let's try the 12th. Oops. Chojin Sentai Live Man was the 12th Super Sentai series. Although at the time when Go-Onger and Jack were not counted as part of the official Super Sentai series, Live Man used to be. It's not anymore, but it used to be considered the 10th anniversary. A little bit of trivia for you there. Okay, so, 00, and then whatever the order of the Super Sentai is, you're going to get it. So, 28. And on and on and on. Okay, let's do some other ones here. Some of them are real short and simple, others not so much. Some of them are, they are what they are. And then on the opposite side, so you can only imagine what codes 2222, 3333, 4444, and on all the way up to 999 will do. They will each have their own special feature to them. And also, which by the way is not just the activation or cancellation sound, but it is also the ringtone. I'm sure somebody has that up on YouTube somewhere, although I haven't found it yet. And there's one final one they provide. Code 2011, of course being the year 2011, the year that Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger came out. Now here's something interesting. Listen to what happens after he says Gokaiyo. Combine. Ikuze. Hashin. Tatekai. I'm sorry, Tatakai. Those phrases, even though it's saying, Gatai Gokaiyo, it's saying a different phrase each time. Now, each of those 4 or 5 phrases I haven't quite figured out yet. Each of those phrases will repeat randomly, so sometimes it'll do the same one, more than once. So there's that. Now, if you want to continue following this line, and this part is not in the instructions, at least I don't think. I mean, I can't read Japanese. But anyways, if you input, since 2011, 2011 is the year that Gokaiger's on the air, why don't you try something a little different? Say, how about the Super Sentai series associated with the first season of Power Rangers, 1992? Power Rangers made its debut in 93, but the show that it was based on, Kyoryu Sentai Ranger, came out in 92. Now, 1992 is the earliest code that it will recognize, and there's actually a rather large gap between 92 and 2001. It also does not recognize, oddly, the 30th anniversary series, Go-Go Sentai Gokaiger, which was in 2006. And it doesn't recognize the series immediately after that, which was Juken Sentai Gokaiger. Strange that they at least wouldn't acknowledge the 30th anniversary series. That is kind of strange. So it will not recognize anything before 1992, and there's a large gap between 1992 and 2001. It also skips 2006 and 2007. So you can go ahead and figure out what the rest of those are for. And there's one final code that I need to demonstrate here. Now this code, unlike all of the others I've shown you up to this point, and I mean all of them, and even those that I haven't shown you, this is the only code that has been seen in the series. That's the only code they've used in the show. Otherwise, everything else I've shown you up to this point has never been seen. And so that is it for the Keypad segment of the Mobirates video review. And now I'm going to show you the other important gimmick, the Ranger keys. Since this is an anniversary series which is spanning the entire Super Sentai series, the collectible gimmick for Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger is Ranger keys. These are 1-to-1 scale. This is how they appear in the show. They do not grow or shrink any more than this. These are miniaturized representations of every single Ranger and secondary hero that has ever appeared in a Super Sentai series. From Himitsu Sentai Go-Ranger all the way to Tenso Sentai Gokaiger and now Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, every single one of those has a Ranger key. They're all designed exactly the same. PVC arms and head, the rest is ABS. The shoulders don't really ratchet, but they kind of snap to every 90 degrees. So anyways, you get to this position, you fold up the legs. This is what a Ranger key looks like when it's ready to be inserted into a compatible Gokaiger toy. Now, and yes, also the team's symbol is located right there. In case you haven't noticed, yes, the Gokaiger logo is actually two cutlass swords behind a ranger key, in case you didn't understand what that was. No, it's not skull and crossbones. Sorry to disappoint. Every single ranger key, the teeth on a ranger key are unique to each and every one of them. No two are exactly the same, and they all have a unique identifying code on them. So every single ranger key is based off of this format. Now the Mobirates obviously would come with the leader of the Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, but for convenience, the Mobirates set also includes two other ranger keys from the Legend Sentai, which is what they are referred to in Gokaiger. Even though it is the Super Sentai series, the Gokaiger and everybody else in this particular show refers to them as the Legend Sentai. Anyways, the two additional keys that are provided are Shinken Red from 2009's Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, the Shiba clan symbol right there. This one is R-179. So it's the 179th Ranger key that has been produced. And Go-On Red from the 2008 Super Sentai series, Henshin Keitai Go-Onger. Again, the Go-Onger team logo. This one is key number R-172. So why would they provide three of these things? Well, I'll get to that in a moment here. Unfortunately, here's the frustrating part for me. The Mobirates is actually supposed to be held in your left hand so that you can wield a ranger key and do this, providing you the perfect opportunity to cover the speaker with your thumb and drop it at the first opportune moment because, well, yeah, it's kind of bulky back here, and you don't want to hang on to this, and you don't want to have your thumb up here because you do not want to block the hole up here. But, you know, it's totally worth it. Gokai chain! Careful, you'll poke an eye out. The keypad is rendered neutral when you have a ranger key inserted and activated. The only button that will respond, so you can punch the numbers still. You can still punch the numbers, but it's not going to acknowledge any codes when you hit enter. However, when you do hit enter, you will get this. And so there is that with the Gokai Red key. Careful, watch your fingers. Now, fortunately for me, I have a few more Gokaiger keys I can demonstrate for you. For example, Gokai Blue, Gokai Change. And when you hit enter, you get and notice now that the Mobirates uniquely identifies the difference between Gokai Blue and Gokai Red. And I also have Gokai Yellow. And again, uniquely identifies the ranger key that's in there. Remember that part. So now, what happens when you enter a ranger key that belongs to a series other than Gokaiger? Oh, for example, Go-On Red. You get this. Gokai Change. Now notice there that the transformation sound effect is actually different from the Gokaiger sound effect. Because in the series, the Gokaiger have to have their own armor first, and then they bestow the power of a Legend Sentai onto them, okay? So you will only get a transformation sound effect when you use a Gokaiger key, but all other Ranger keys you will get a different style Henshin sound effect. Yes, I totally meant to do that so you could hear it a second time. Again, when you... left hand, Ava, left hand. Again, when you push the enter button, you will get this instead. You get the motto and or catchphrase of that particular series, which they usually say just before they charge headlong into battle, but after transforming. And that is the only sound effect that you will get out of the enter key. It does not uniquely identify any other Legend Sentai key other than Gokaiger keys. Gokai change. And again. And just in case you're trying to look for a hidden feature, by holding down the enter key or any of the others, that does not happen. So you're only going to get that response out of any other Ranger key. At least the ones that have been released so far. Now there's one more feature that I would like to bring up, and it actually connects the Ranger key gimmick with the Keypad codes gimmick. Please be aware that Gokaiger keys are exempt from this game, as are any other Ranger keys from, is it 1994 onwards, which would have been for Ninja Sentai Gokaiger. So anything before Ninja Sentai Gokaiger, those keys will not work in this game, and nor will Gokaiger keys. And this game, and well, it's not really a game, but it's just it's a special mode. Actually, it's versus mode. Super Sentai has been known over the years to produce a number of crossover movies. Usually it was V-Cinema, but lately they've actually been putting them up on the big screen. These are crossover movies where the team from the previous year meets up with the current team, and so on and so forth down the line. And yes, they've skipped a couple of years since '94, but you know how that works. Oh, and also another rule is that any crossover movies involving more than two teams, so anniversary movies such as Go-Go Sentai Gokaiger versus Super Sentai, and Hyakuju Sentai Gokaiger versus Super Sentai, and Kaku Rangers Super Sentai World movie, so any keys relating to those events do not count. Fortunately, Bandai was courteous enough to give us 2 Ranger keys in the Mobirates sets which actually do have a crossover movie, Go-Onger and Shinkenger. This is how versus mode works. And that is how versus mode works. Now notice that even though Go-Onger came out before Shinkenger did, you can insert them into whichever order you want to. I put Shinkenger in first, and then I put Go-Onger in second, even though Go-Onger was the series that came before Shinkenger did. I forgot I already deactivated it. My bad. So what happens, for example, if you're to put a non-crossover movie, a non-versus series together? And just for laughs, what does a 3 combination play out like? So that's why I said that the multi-team movies don't work, or teams that are not associated with each other. It will only interact with keys. Why am I holding these upside down? It'll only interact with keys where the series were right next to each other. And so that, unless I'm much mistaken, is it for the Mobirates. God, what is wrong with me? It's taken me 3.5 weeks to get to this point. It's ridiculous. And in the course of that 3.5, well, yeah, it's almost 3.5 weeks now, I shot 48 minutes of raw, unedited commentary, which is absolutely ridiculous. Eventually, it would have cut down to maybe 39, 38 minutes of commentary, but still, that's a long time to listen to. And that's on top of the, was it 28 minutes unedited footage that I shot for just showing you all the features and stuff with the Mobirates by itself. So here I am giving it a second go. I'm going to see if I can cut that 48 minutes down to something a little more reasonable, like maybe 20, if I'm lucky. Not including this unnecessary apology right at the beginning here for taking so damn long in getting this video out. Man, depression sucks. The main reason why it's been so difficult for me to articulate and get this video out is because the Mobirates and Ranger Keys are old hat at this point. I mean, the show's been on the air for 8 months now. I mean, I'm recording this in October, and the series started in mid-January. So the thrill of the gimmick is kind of gone at this point, and the originality, and it's kind of difficult for me to articulate what I was feeling 8 months ago when I first saw this. Now, I've only just recently gotten the toy. Well, it was about 3.5 weeks when I originally got it compared to when I'm actually finishing up this video review. The big thing that was interesting for me, that was cool for me, let's see this one, is, well, there's a couple of interesting things. One, these Rangers, the keys fell down. So much for trying to balance that thing. The keys are interesting, okay? I know I'm not going to hold this in my left hand because I'm sitting at a rather awkward angle, and quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. But anyways, I like how this thing opens up, and I like how the Ranger keys get used. That's pretty original. That the Gokai keys have 2 unique sound effects in there for them. Not only that it knows which Ranger key, Gokai Red, Gokai Yellow, Gokai Blue, blah, 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 blah. It knows those things, but then it just says Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger. That's all well and good. By contrast, unfortunately, the only thing you get out of any other Ranger Team series is the motto of the team, and then the announcement of the team name, and then some just generic explosion thing, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I wish it would have done that for the Gokai keys as well, the Gokaiger keys, where they had the announcement of the team or whatever it is. But it just does that. In the series, they say they don't really have a motto in Gokaiger. They have they don't have a position they stand by. I think one of the phrases they use is "Let's make this showy," and then they go off into battle. So Ranger keys, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with these things. Individually, they don't do much, and really the only toy that takes advantage of them right now is the Mobirates and the Gokai Gun, the Gokai Saber, and then, not to spoil it or anything, the Gokai Cellular, which I am not touching whatsoever. I hate that thing. And the Gokai Spear, which I definitely going to try and get, even though it is a little small. But that's irrelevant, and I'll talk about it when I eventually get those. So yeah, Ranger keys, pretty fun, pretty innovative, not much by themselves, but whatever. The fact that there's 199 of these things, that's That's crazy. Yeah, I feel the strong tugs of the gotta collect them all mentality. Like, I know they're all going to be doing exactly the same thing at the end of the day, but man, I want to get them all. You know? No, I'm not going to say the Pokemon phrase. But maybe by bringing up Pokemon I just have. Yeah, gotta catch them all. Collect them all. Yeah, these are pretty fun. It turns out that the Mobirates Ranger Key feature also has a surprise of its own. And I want to make special props out to YouTube user Zeltrax Millennium again, because he brought up something that I didn't notice before. This is a specially modified Ranger Key that I have, and all that I did is I taped the bottom half of the key. So this tooth here is blocked off, the tooth up here is blocked off, and it doesn't really matter. You could actually wrap the whole key so long as it fits in there properly, okay? Anyway, Zeltrax Millennium called it hacking a key. I guess you can hack it. Check this out. And you can only do one layer of tape because the tape will get stuck in there. I've done it. But anyways, check this out. Watch this. Watch this. And now the original functionality of this key is obviously going to do something different. Like I said, I've modified it. But I mean, you put the teeth in there, or you cover up the gap there, you cover up the gap there, and you even cover up the gaps up here, and it actually will make sounds. So you're making it generic so that there are no tooth marks, whatever it is, in there, and it'll actually make a different sound. The other sound that it makes, and this is the interesting one for me, if I were to cover up this this gap here as well, it would bring up Kamen Rider O's. Like, Ranger Keys have absolutely nothing to do with the sister series, Kamen Rider O's, but if you cover up all of these things, yeah, it's going to say Special Mode Kamen Rider O's or something like that. So, I wonder why they did that. The excuse I've been given, and I've asked a couple of people about this, is that it's just supposed to be a little bonus thing that kids are not going to figure out on their own, and it's there more as a little special secret something or other that collectors will be able to find. So, yeah, that's pretty freaky. Aside from a visual standpoint where it's interesting to plug a Ranger key in and then it's kind of interesting from that perspective to have to plug it in, turn it that way. But here's my question. Why, and I've gone on about this several times now, so here's the last time I'll bring it up, at least as far as a complaint. Why did they choose to insert Ranger keys this way? That takes up so much space that way. I mean, look, this huge thing back here. What I want to know is, and they did this with the Gokai Cellular, is it Gokai Changer or Gokai Cellular? You know what, I'm not going to get it, and quite frankly, I don't care about it. What they did with the Gokai Cellular, which is a toy I'm not getting, so I might as well bring it up, you plug the anchor key into the bottom of the Gokai Cellular, and then it activates a special feature. But then you also plug a non-transformed Ranger key into the thing up here, however it does that thing. So, but here's my question. If they can do it with the anchor key in the bottom of the Gokai Cellular Changer, I think it's Gokai Changer, I don't care. Why didn't they do that with the Mobirates? You know, why didn't you plug in keys down here, turn it, and you would have eliminated this huge thing sitting on the back here, and this thing along the side here. The speaker probably would have ended up here, or maybe they could have put the speaker in the middle here, which would have been way too loud, by the way, because it's just been poking right at your face. Although if you're holding it like this, when you plug your Ranger key like this, it might not have been a problem, because, you know, the speaker would have been... Anyways, yeah, why didn't? That's kind of the one thing I don't get. I mean, regardless of the electronics and how they read the keys or whatever it is, I'm sure they would have had... It would have been a little more convenient to have the Ranger keys down here rather than up here. That's perhaps the one thing I don't get. And really, the bulk on this thing is perhaps the biggest problem I have with the Mobirates is it's almost borderline not a cell phone changer. Even though it has a flip top on it, even though it has a keypad on it, keypad doesn't mean anything. Even though it has these little icons, these two up here can be easily dismissed. Even though it has camera, which actually kind of looks like an emerald or something like that, and you can easily ignore those things. Even though it has those very, very minor descriptors of a cell phone, it's almost borderline item changer. I almost don't want to call this a cell phone changer. It is, and yet it kind of feels like it isn't one. Actually, now that I think about it, I was planning to bring this up anyways. There's something interesting. Good transition, by the way, Ava. There's something interesting I've noticed about the Mobirates. Other than the fact that they are both flip-top cell phone changers, I've actually found a number of parallels between the Mobirates and the Henshin Keitai Mobirates from the 2005 Super Sentai series Mahou Sentai Mobirates. Both the Mobirates and the Mobirates have a keypad which recognizes unique codes, which I'll get to that in a moment. It has a generic display, although in this case, actually I kind of like the holographic display on there. Sparkles. Shiny! They both have, they both have a spring-powered flip-top thing, and they both have an LED built into the display screen, although this one has two. There's one up here, one down here. I was not the one to review the Mobirates in 2005. Unfortunately, someone else beat me to the punch on that. But if I had reviewed it, I would have said perhaps the biggest failing of the toy is that it did not have enough unique responses to it. Case in point, 106 is one of the codes that's used pretty much every single episode. Okay, and the interesting thing about the Mobirates is they use it every single episode, and every single episode there's a brand new code, spell, that comes out of every single episode. Every single episode has a brand new set of numbers that comes out of this thing, okay? However, there are some that they use more commonly than others. 106, 107, 1205, that is the reason why I put that cardboard thing in there, so I can actually remember a few of them later on. But anyways, the Mobirates, that was kind of the interesting thing about it, is you had a unique code. Now, unfortunately, and this is the thing that I didn't get to comment on in 2005 if I had reviewed it, the problem that I had is it doesn't have enough unique responses to it. And, oops, that's wrong. Those three codes that I've just put in here, those are all unique, okay? Each and every time you hit enter, it might say the words, the same words, in the specific order that I put them down, but the sound effect after it stops saying those words, or whatever it is, those are unique. Now, the Mobirates covered its ass in a certain way in that each and every number is, one, associated with a specific word, and two, it has a unique sound effect attached to it. So, one produces this. So no matter what code you put in, if it ended in a 1 and it wasn't one of the specified codes in here, you would always get that same sound effect out of it. It's the exact same sound, okay? So that's how the Mobirates covered its ass, and that's how Plex kind of took care of the problem of making the spell sound unique, because, it just makes you think, you punch a single digit, ooh, it's going to make an interesting noise. But really, the Mobirates only had about 5 unique responses to it at the end of the day, So there was that issue I had. But again, there's a lot of parallels, just visually and the function of it and things like that. There's something else I've noticed, is that the Mobirates seems to be, or rather the Mobirates, is what I believe is the next step in the evolution of cell phone changers. Now, cell phone changers started in 2001. The G phone from Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger in 2001, which was the 25th anniversary series. And the only thing that did is, yeah, the numbers made their individual sounds, but they weren't really relevant. I mean, it was just a stripped-down phone changer. The gimmickry of it was actually, you know, having the arms and legs fold out in and out on it and blah, 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 blah. I don't like the growl phone. I'm never going to try and get that. It's just, I had no interest in it. So that's considered kind of the first evolution of it. Now, I'm intentionally skipping the SP license from 2004's Tokusou Sentai Gokaiger because, yeah, it does have a cell phone mode, but generally speaking, it's not really technically a cell phone. It's a badge, it's a judgment mode, you know, things like that. It does have a communication device built into it in the series. You know, these are just decals, by the way. And you know, it does have signal reception, battery strength. It's got the telltale signs of a cell phone, but it's not a cell phone changer, in my opinion. So I'm skipping this. And even though right now it is still my absolute favorite cell phone device, I don't really count the Excellular from the 30th anniversary series Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger as part of the evolutionary step, because this thing was kind of the exception to the rule. Yeah, it was it was very, very gimmick-filled, and yes, it does behave like a cell phone, because you punch numbers and then you make a call. Well, not really, can't make a call. But this, I don't really count this as a cell phone changer. Well, yeah, it is a cell phone changer, but it has different rules from your typical cell phone changer. So I could spend, 10 minutes talking about how much I like and dislike this thing. So yeah, this doesn't really count, at least as far as the evolution from Magiphone to Excellular to Go Phone to Shoto Phone to Mobirates. So I don't really count the Excellular as part of that. But the point I'm trying to get at is the G phone didn't really do a lot. It was just stripped down, basic, simple. It was a cell phone, and then you pushed the enter key, and then it made the transformation sound. And that's pretty much all it was. That was as basic a cell phone device as you can get. The Magiphone is the next step in that evolution. You're actually having to use the keypad to do things with it. Now, it's bright and it's flashy and it makes noises. That's pretty cool. That's actually pretty advanced for a cell phone toy. It's not just you can punch the numbers on it and it makes a noise. No, I mean it's smart enough to know which numbers you're punching, and it has a unique response to it. And so now in 2011 we have the Mobirates, which I believe is the next step in the evolutionary chain. It actually compensates for the flaw, well, not really flaw, that the Magiphone has. It has, not only does it have unique sound effects for each codes, but it also incorporates a completely separate electronic feature which is completely independent of what happens down here. So that, in a way, is something that makes me like the Mobirates quite a bit. Not just the twisting thing in it, but it actually behaves a little more like a cell phone. It has all those unique combinations in there. Now, yes, of course, they're just little phrases that have been stuck into the Mobirates. There's this phrase over here, and this one over here, and this one down here, and da 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 da. And it's just the sequence of numbers that you press tells the computer on the inside, okay, I'm going to take this phrase over here, and I'm going to take this phrase down here, and I'm going to put them together like this. Sometimes it'll even switch them around, but I'm going to put these two phrases together, and then it'll sound like an original phrase. However, because I'm such a nitpicky person, I have to say that even though it's the same voice that's used the entire time in here, except for that Yahoo thing when you go into special mode, even though it's one person, there's actually a lot of times where it actually sounds like two different people. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but some of those phrases in there, the guy either doesn't say it with the right kind of enthusiasm or the right kind of tone, or whatever it is. Maybe it was a poor recording and they didn't have time to make a new one. I don't know what the case is, but some of those phrases in there, not very consistent with itself. And so that's why I think the Mobirates is a rather large step in the evolution of cell phone changers. Oh, by the way, I speak about this from personal experience. Everybody and their mother wants to open up the Mobirates or any other cell phone device in this fashion. Okay, they want to do it like that, okay? Don't do that. Because I originally did it with the Magiphone, and just because of the way the gimmick works, you push on this button on the side here, and you notice the display section's actually moving. Well, you know, you're supposed to push this button and then the thing flips up. Well, the thing is, the spring in here, the joint, has actually gotten loose over the time because I was flipping it back and forth so much, I actually wore down on it within a couple of months of getting this back in 2005. So I ended up having to hold this in a strange way. But, you know, eventually it works that way, but I'm having to put my finger up here. Anyways, the moral of the story is, don't do that, okay? Because even though it snaps to this position, and it snaps to this position, and it holds pretty well, just know from experience, because of the way that Magiphone has, you know, broken down within a couple of months after getting it, don't flip it out like that, okay? Set it open manually, okay? That's an important thing to remember. I think I'll put it right there. So it took me a little over 3.5 weeks to shoot all of that. That's pretty sad. Now, I've thought of a couple other things in the last few weeks, and I've touched upon some of them, but I'm not going to be able to touch on all of them because I looked at the timer that I have on all these videos, and yeah, this is probably going to be a 40 or 50 minute video for, you know, such a simple toy. You know what, maybe I should have done it just the good old days where I just said I like this, and I don't like this, or something like that. So the things I like the Ranger Key gimmick. I like that it has a lot of unique sound effects. I like the spring open action on it. The things I dislike, I said I wasn't going to say it again, and I'm not going to drop that again. It's definitely one of the better cell phone changers out there, I must say. Even if you ignore the keypad feature, just like the Gokaiger do in the show itself, for some strange-ass reason. I don't know why they're ignoring it. They've got all those codes built up in there. I don't know, they might use 1224 in December or January, something like that. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. That'd be 2 months from now. And finally, though I find him absolutely insane for getting rid of this toy shortly after he bought it, regardless, I wish to convey my special thanks and appreciation out to Gundam Legacy Extreme for selling me both the Mobirates and Ranger Key Set number 1. Thank you very much, Gundam Legacy Extreme. I do appreciate it. This is